In the last stream, we were working our way through the bee breeding chain to try and get a bunch of different bee types to allow us to get a bunch of new resources. Our main goal was, of course, getting the redstone bee here, because the redstone bee for today's episode is going to unlock a whole new level of automation, so that hopefully by the end of today's episode, we don't have to keep using our shears manually on the beehives to get these honeycombs. The plan is going to be to use multiple of these dispensers that we already have. We're going to fill these dispensers up. You can put shears in here, but I think the shears do lose durability whenever you shear with them. Whereas if you use the scraper does require more redstone signals to get all of the combs, but it doesn't lose any durability. It lasts forever, which makes it, I think, the much more sensible option, so that we don't have to set up any kind of like shear making automation to send shears automatically to the dispensers. So we're going to fill a bunch of dispensers with scrapers. We're going to put the scrapers into those dispensers, and then we're probably going to go with the timer from RF Tools, because this can apply basically a constant redstone signal to the dispenser. By constant redstone signal, I mean like a constant kind of flickering redstone signal like this, where we can send out a signal every second, every 2 seconds. We can configure it inside the timer to basically always harvest the stuff in the hives. Now, as I mentioned at the end of the last stream, our big problem then is collecting all of those honeycombs so that we can then process them automatically. Now, we could try and do it with hoppers. We could like fill the floor with hoppers and have them all pointing to one centralized location, but I think a much better solution is going to be to get one of the many vacuumulators, ender hoppers, absorption hoppers. These all do the same kind of thing. They all suck up items in a certain area around the block and store them all inside of their internal buffers. And I think of the three, the ender hopper, the absorption hopper, and the vacuumulator, I think the vacuumulator here from thermal expansion is the one that I'm going to go with, because it's the only one here that does not require an eye of ender and therefore doesn't require any blaze powder. All we need for this is 4 tin, 1 redstone server, which is just iron and redstone, 1 standard Minecraft hopper, 2 glass, and an ender pearl. And of all of those things, we currently don't have ender pearls or tin ingots. However, tin ingots we can get, you guessed it, from tin honeycomb, and tin honeycomb we can get by breeding together a diorite bee with a cobble bee. The diorite bee, I'm fairly certain, is one of the bees that we can get via DNA. It's just diorite and empty DNA in the jars. Diorite we should have. We got this from our stone generator that we had here a few episodes ago, and so if we throw this in like so, we should be able to get ourselves a diorite bee DNA and start. And once that's done, we can then breed that with our pre-existing cobblestone bee, and that will get us the tin bee, and then we can get the tin ingots, and that is all good. The harder part is going to be the ender pearl here. The ender pearl we can't quite get from an ender honeycomb, because the ender honeycomb requires an ender bee, and whilst we could get this, I think it's a whole other chain of bee breeding that we don't really want to get into today. I think it's going to be easier if we go via the quest book here, because you'll see there is an enderman DNA. This doesn't produce an enderman bee, this actually spawns an enderman. You'll see over in this quest line, all of these quests say sand bee DNA, snowball bee DNA, fishy bee DNA, whereas over here, these just say enderman DNA, shulker DNA, blaze DNA. You can use these to spawn the requisite mob. And so in our case, if we want to spawn an enderman, all we have to do is get 1 enderman DNA and then right-click it onto our spawner, and that will spawn an enderman that we can then kill to try and get an ender pearl. So to do that, we need to combine empty DNA, super easy, just clay, along with blank dye, which is also super easy because for us, that is just mystical black flowers crafted into mystical black petals. Then of course we can grow those with a quick run, and we can shear those to get a ton of petals, like so. And then of course, if we want to, we can take the pestle and mortar that we should have in one of our chests here, we do indeed, and that gets us black dye. Nice. So we can really make as much of that as we like. The slightly tricky part is this bit right here. We need netherwort, and you'll see here it says that you can get this from seed ore. Now, searching in JEI, seed ore is acquirable via this custom cobblestone generator. We have to do a normal cobblestone generator with water and lava, but we put compressed cobblestone, triple compressed cobblestone, I should say, underneath the center block, and that is going to create the seed ore. And so, and by create, it says it has a 40% chance. That's what weight 40 means here. So we're also going to get some other stuff as well. Let me check here. It looks like we also get stone as well, which is completely fine. So do we have enough cobblestone to make a triple compressed cobblestone? I think we do. It's actually a lot of cobblestone, but if we do something like this, we can craft up a ton of single compressed. We can then craft that into double compressed, and that gets us most of the way actually towards getting the triple compressed cobblestone. Just a little bit more gets us to 9 double compressed, and then that is enough for 1 triple compressed. Nice. I'll craft all these back down, dump them all back in here, and now it's just a case of setting this up somewhere to produce the goods. So I think what we'll do, it's going to be a temporary setup because I don't think we need a ton of this. And just like before, what we're going to want to do here is have lava, flowing water, and have those connect. I think much like with the stone generator that we set up, I think it is going to be faster if we have lava and flowing water. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and kind of break this here, again, just so the wood doesn't burn. We'll have the lava flow down into that hole there. To make it a bit more secure, we will go ahead and replace some of these bits of wood here and here, and I guess also here. Perfect. So that is going to flow there. That's fine. And then I think if we have flowing water here, so if we get rid of this torch, and we do something like this, this, and this, that doesn't work. Interesting. Okay, so I guess we might have to... So wait, if I do... Hold on. I'm learning here. If I do this, this will work? Yes. Okay. And we just need to replace the block underneath with triple compressed cobblestone. Just to be safe, I'm going to put cobblestone beneath that so we can get this triple compressed cobblestone back. But now if we break this, we should see it turn into either stone or seed ore. Seed ore is what we're after. And if we collect that seed ore, we're going to get, by the looks of it, just kind of random junk. We did get some nether wart there, I saw it, but it did get burned in the lava, which is not ideal. There probably is a way to make this work using flowing lava as well, which I think might be a lot faster in terms of recreating the stone ore, but as far as I'm aware, I couldn't get that to work just now. Okay, so you just need to move the lava back by 1 and then not have it flow down. Like, the water does need to flow down, the lava doesn't. I don't think it's any faster, though, is the thing. Like, I've got this set up now, but it seems to be about as slow as it was previously, so I don't know if that's really worth the effort. Real quick, I am going to get a chest here to kind of dump all of these seeds into, because it seems like we are not getting the nether wart. I assume we will do it, but currently we're getting kind of everything apart from the nether wart. We are completing a lot of quests in the meantime, and we are getting different saplings as well, which is nice. It means that we should be able to, at some point, look at kind of expanding out away from just using wood. I do wonder if it is going to be worth us getting one of our uppers and placing that above the stone. I wonder how well that works. Let me, I could steal that one, but that one's kind of fully full. And up here, we should have a decent amount of iron honeycomb, and by the looks of it, actually, a decent amount of iron as well. So real quick, chat, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a standard Minecraft hopper, which we can then quickly craft into a modded upper. And if I put that upper directly on top of this, does that pick it up straight away? I think it does, but I think it's going to make it much more likely that we actually collect anything that is produced here. It's a little less good with the seed ore, because it looks like with the seed ore, things kind of spew out, which is not ideal. Also, the speed at which it kind of picks stuff up is also not ideal. I guess we could do with putting the chest kind of directly on top of the upper as well if we really wanted to collect anything. But real quick, I'm going to see if we can't get some nether wart from this, and then we'll look about getting our first enderman. It is quite possible we might have to spawn in multiple endermen, because of course we're not guaranteed to get an ender pearl from the first enderman that we kill. Alright, so a fair amount of seed ore breaking later. I kept going until my pickaxe broke, but we did manage to get a lot of stuff, including, thankfully, 1 nether wart. Now, the good news here is that we can repair our pickaxe, of course, which is very nice, but on top of that, we can also grow more nether wart now using the botany pots. And so what I think I'll do real quick, I'm not really convinced that this is really worth it. We're not getting really much wood at all. You'll see we're at 10 logs in here, which is not ideal. So I think what we'll probably do, at least for now, is get ourselves another storage drawer and use that to store the nether wart. We are going to need a soul sand for this, and also it's here we've got a cinnabar bee here. One thing I have noticed is that you've got to keep an eye on your baby bees when they grow into adult bees, especially if you don't have a pollinating block for them. So I think what happened here is we had a baby cinnabar bee, which I made by accident between streams, and because the cinnabar bees don't have anything to do, they're just kind of flying at this wall, which is not ideal, and it seems like when they go from being babies to being adults, if they are flying at the wall trying to escape, they will kind of clip through and escape. So you've either got to keep an eye on your babies to make sure they don't do that, and so you can put them back in when they're good, or just put down the nectar blocks. If I had a cinnabar nectar block in here, they'd be too busy getting to the nectar block and depositing their honey that they wouldn't escape. But if you don't have that, then they do escape. So just something to bear in mind. For us, it's not too big of a deal. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if we'd have lost one cinnabar bee. Either way, back over here, what I was going to do is get ourselves another regular oak drawer, like so. Draw that down right about here. I'm going to move this botany pot over to the top of the new drawer, like this, and then we just need to get another soul sand, which we can get, of course, using our jars if we have a bucket of organic water and some sand. The organic water was just a seed of some kind with water, which is completely fine. We do still have a bunch of wheat seeds here, and so real quick, we do now, of course, have our sink from last episode that can make an infinite amount of water, and so I am just after organic water, which is this stuff here. It doesn't seem to think that it's makeable. That is because I'm a fool, and it's made in here with no heat. And start. That's going to take 33 seconds, and then we can combine that with sand, which we do not have in there, but we do have over in here. And people did point out in the Twitch chat, actually, that we can probably do this in a slightly better way. I wasn't really thinking about it too much when we put this down, but people were suggesting that we could potentially move the crusher over to here, because assuming that the uppers work in the same way that regular hoppers work, we could probably have the upper kind of go like this, yeah, and feed sideways into that crusher. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the excess cobblestone here. By the way, you do have this trash can in the top left. If you click on it, you can just dump all of the stuff into here, and then as soon as you close it, it's gone. So if you want to delete something easily, that's the easier way of doing it than kind of throwing it all into the abyss. But from there, we could then just use a regular hopper kind of to pull down from here into this crusher, and that would make kind of the automation for sand a bit easier and a bit less tall, I guess. Alternatively, I guess we could probably get a few more storage drawers. Do I have a chisel? I do. If we do something like this and this, we can get some more wood. We can then do one of these, get ourselves, let's say, 2 of these, because I'm thinking if we get a drawer for sand and gravel, I think what we could potentially do is have a standard Minecraft hopper feed down into a storage drawer for gravel, and then we could also have the gravel going to the other crusher as well, because I think the gravel is going to fill up quite quickly. So if we did this, that way some of the gravel is going to go into there, and on top of that, we could then take this hopper, which is also full of gravel. Let's do that to clear our inventory quite a bit. We'll then move this upper, and we'll also steal this crusher. Then, just like we did before, we could place our new crusher, let's say right about here. We could place our upper feeding into that crusher, like so. And then we could do the exact same thing again here, where we get our second drawer. We're going to put that here. That drawer is going to store all of our sand, like this, because we should see, I believe, the gravel going kind of both directions here. The upper should take some, and the hopper should take some, so I'm hoping it gets kind of distributed there. And then at that point, we just need one more hopper, which is just one more iron, which is just one more quick crank of the centrifuge here, and that is everything for, I think, kind of fully automated sand and gravel. Nice. It's a bit of an odd setup there, but it is somewhat compact and should work just fine. We only came over here for sand, and so back over here, let's do this. Our organic water is done. We can cancel that, and we can instead look at producing the soul sand and start. Again, only 18 more seconds on that. That's fine. And then it is going to take, I think, 1 minute 20 for us to get our first kind of full growth of netherwort here. And it's not guaranteed, but it is better than the oak sapling. You'll see there's a 75% chance to get netherwort, and there are 1 to 3 rolls of it, so I think we're a lot more likely to get netherwort here than we were to get oak logs with the sapling. There's also a 5% chance that you get a second one as well. So it's much better than the oak tree. And so hopefully if we do this, we're going to start to kind of passively generate netherwort here, and then we can use that netherwort, of course, to get ourselves enderman. All right, so a few cycles later, we did get some netherwort. We've got 3, actually, which is very nice Indeed, we'll leave one in there for now. Whilst I was waiting for that, I did do a bit more seed mining, so we've got even more seeds in here now. Unfortunately, didn't get any more netherwort, but we do have, dark oak saplings, and as well as jungle and spruce, and even acacia as well, and birch. So we've got kind of all of the saplings available. Now, back over here, we can drop you in. We can craft some of this clay down into clay balls. That's going to allow us to craft even more DNA, although we do already have some empty DNA lying around. I'll make a few, though, just in case. I did also do a little bit more petal farming here, so we've got a ton of black dye ready to go. And so now, hopefully, in here, we should be able to make our first Enderman DNA. Start. That's going to take 60 seconds. The next thing that we need to worry about, I guess, is actually killing the Enderman, because right now, our weapon of choice, I guess, is maybe the hand axe here with 8 attack damage, which is not particularly great. And so what I think we should do is we should probably make a sword. Now, currently, the best sword that we can make using our pot builder on our Tinker Station here is going to be just a standard kind of stone sword, which might do the trick, but is probably not our best option. I will make it because we can always, of course, upgrade it with iron in just a second, and we can make this as good as we want going forward. Let's do this, and then let's put in... oh, it's no binder. I thought what binder was required here. It's not. The reason, by the way, that I picked wood tool handles is I think the wood tool handles are better than the stone tool handles, if I'm not mistaken, although I could be wrong on that. So there's a trade-off here. The wood tool handle has higher durability. You'll see over here that the durability of the stone tool handle is 0.8x, so it's going to lower the durability of our sword, whereas the mining speed is slightly higher on the stone handle. For us, that doesn't matter. That does mean that we probably want a stone handle on our pickaxe. That's going to make it mine slightly faster at the cost of durability. You'll see that the durability is going to go down from 130 to 104, which I think is fine for the mining speed trade-off. However, for the sword, we don't care about mining speed, and it doesn't affect the attack damage, and so I think we do want to go with a wooden handle for this and get our stone sword. Now, if we want to upgrade any of our tools to iron or beyond, that's where we need to use the smelt tray, and that is also where the casting table that we made a few episodes back comes into play. So much like with the basin, we're going to throw down our faucet, we're also going to drop down our seared casting table, and this time around, I'm going to take kind of all this sand out of here and put it back in here for now, because we do have a decent amount of clear glass, and I've also done some building work between streams on this area of the base, but we'll get to that when it's necessary. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a little bit of gold into the smelt tray. The reason for that is that in order to be able to make an iron small blade to upgrade our sword from cobblestone to iron, we need a small blade cast. You can use these sand casts, and the sand casts are not too expensive. I think it's legitimately just sand. It requires, just sand. It needs a sand cast, and the sand cast here is just one sand, actually, which, it's not terrible. It is only single use, which is not ideal. Basically, the way that this works, if I'm not mistaken, is we take a sword blade, we put that in here. That gives us like a sword outline, like that. And then I guess we can put that into our pot builder. And then over here, we want to then pull whatever material we want to make our sword head out of the smeltery. So, for example, if we wanted to do iron, we would have to grab some iron ingots, which we can get from here. I think we need 2 iron ingots to make a small sword blade. So let's take 2 iron ingots and melt them down in here. For that, we are going to need some lava. Thankfully, lava is still available over here. Real quick, we probably should get more lava cooking. Yeah, start. We'll deposit that lava over into the tank, and then back over here. As soon as that's melted, we can pull it out into the sword cast, and that's going to give us a small iron blade, which we can then use to upgrade our pre-existing sword, and we can do that for basically all of our tools here to upgrade them from stone to iron. The only problem, of course, is if you're a fool like me, and you have this lever turned on, and therefore you pull your iron directly into the basin. That's not ideal. However, I think one kind of cheeky thing that we can do here, we'll take the blank sand cast back, we'll move this. I'm fairly certain that what we can do is put this here, put the faucet onto the basin, put the sand cast back in, re-grab the small sword blade, put that in here, and then pull that out like this. You totally can. It's a very janky way of doing it. It's much easier to just pull it out of the smeltery, but if you do end up doing that, this does work. And there you go. You see the sand cast disappeared there. It is single use. If you make a gold cast, it is repeatably usable, but it does require a gold ingot to make. So a bit of a trade-off there. For now, though, we'll put this back down, put you back down, and over here, we can do this, and that's going to increase our attack damage from 5 to 6, and our durability up to 316. Nice. Now, up until now, we've not actually used any modifiers on our Tinker's tools, which is kind of one of the main reasons to use Tinker's, is the modifiers. So one nifty modifier that I think we can put on is Nether Quartz. If you add Nether Quartz to your sword, you'll see that it uses up one of the upgrades. Right now we have 3 upgrade slots available. Putting Nether Quartz in is going to take us down to 2, but the way this works is you can put up to 36 Nether Quartz onto the sword before it's going to use another upgrade slot. And so the idea here is that this adds Sharp, which is going to increase the attack damage. You'll see it goes from 6 to 6.03, not a massive upgrade. However, the more Nether Quartz you add, the higher the attack damage gets, and thankfully for us, it looks like we can put the Nether Quartz that we got into the grindstone here. We can then grind that down using the wooden crank. And once the wooden crank has ground that down, it should give us 2 Nether Quartz dust. And then that Nether Quartz dust, much like before, can then be placed back into our chest over here, and then we can use our jar to make 2 Nether Quartz. And then we can take that 2 Nether Quartz, that's going to get us 4 Nether Quartz dust, and we can kind of rinse and repeat that. It's not the fastest process in the world because of the fact that it does take 30 seconds per Nether Quartz here, and it might even be faster if we just try and get more diorite and kind of process that. Speaking of which, we should have our diorite B over here. We do indeed. And so it might not be a terrible idea to try and get some diorite using that. We should also get our diorite B to breed with our cobblestone B as well, so we can actually get that tin B. That would also be sensible. The breeding there for the tin B, I think, is going to require, a piece of diorite and a piece of cobble. And I'm a little bit concerned that we don't have any diorite left. Alright, so I've processed some more Nether Quartz here. It is pretty slow. It did say 30 seconds in JEI here, but of course we only have the Soul Campfire, which is only 50% efficient, and so this does actually take a full 60 seconds to work. And so, instead of using Nether Quartz to upgrade our sword, which we should do at some point in the near future, I think instead what we're going to do is we're going to use Nether Quartz to make diorite, so that I don't have to recreate the diorite setup with the lava and the stone. And I think instead we're going to try kind of cheesing this Enderman fight a little bit by encasing the Enderman in stone. So the Enderman should spawn, I think, directly on top of the DNA spawner, and the Enderman is 3 blocks tall, so we've left a 4-block high gap above the DNA spawner. I'm hoping the Enderman's going to spawn in, we can just hit the Enderman like this, and then the Enderman should die, and we should get the pearl. If the Enderman does manage to teleport away, we've built a little platform here that we can hide under, so that the Enderman can't get us, because again, the Enderman is too tall. Now, the server is about to restart, and so I'm going to disconnect, and then when we come back, we will give this a go. Okay, so we're back, and let's give this a go. So I'm going to right-click here. The Enderman does spawn in, and then the Enderman is good. So hopefully we get an Ender Pearl first time. That would be perfect. Look at that. And so now we should be able to get that vacuumulator as soon as we get some tin. And so in order to get the tin, of course, that's where the diorite comes in. We do now have the diorite BNA, and so let's do this, and let's go take this guy away. We have cobblestone on us, that's perfect. And at that point, it's just a case of getting the tin nectar block, which could be tricky. I'm pretty sure that yep, there he is. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure my cobblestone B is in here. They all just kind of spewed out there. Let's do this, and that's hopefully gonna get us our first tin B. It is indeed, perfect. And then tin B nectar block. What do we need here? We need diorite honeycomb and cobblestone honeycomb and the tin bee. Okay, so I assume the diorite bee pollinates on diorite? It doesn't seem to say on here, but I'll probably say yes. Okay, fine, cool. So unfortunately, it's going to take a second, I guess, for this to come through for us, because we have to wait until we've got 18 of the diorite bee honeycombs. Thankfully, we can get another diorite bee using this diorite BNA that we have. So let's do another one of these. Let's capture you, and let's go get that plop down inside of our hive as well. I also think I'll probably pack in a couple of the bees that are in here with even more jars, because I don't think we need the gold bees in here at this point. We've got a couple of redstone bees already. I'll also take the cinnabar bees out as well, and we can probably move the cobblestone bees as well. We can really want to focus on the diorite and the tin, and also at this point we can kind of get rid of this monstrous cobblestone contraption that we have. All of my bees are up at the top here. You'll see I've picked up quite a lot of them between streams, and my plan, chat, is to use our new hut over here. So between streams, I have done a bit of work on kind of redesigning this layout, because this layout does work, but really only for like one hive. And I want to have a different hive for each different bee that we have. And so what the plan here is that I'm going to put my vacuumulator right in the center of this construction. The vacuumulator has a 9x9 radius. And so basically it can collect blocks up to 4 blocks in each direction. And so the vacuumulator is going to go in the center here, potentially a few blocks up, and we are going to collect items up to 4 blocks in each direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. That goes right up to this wall. I've then split the rest of this area into different rooms, and we're going to use those rooms for hives. So we're going to have a hive here. I'm then going to fill in these gaps here with bee glass so that we can walk through, but the bees can't. And then we can put, for example, iron bees in here, and we can maybe embed the iron bee nectar blocks into the floor so that the iron bees will come out, they'll pollinate, they'll go back into the hive, and then we'll put a dispenser under that hive to automatically harvest those combs. The vacuumulator will then collect those combs, and then we're going to rinse and repeat that for all of the other boxes here. So we're going to have a hive here. That could be for maybe redstone. We'll have a hive here. That could be for gold. We'll have a hive here. It could be for copper. You get the idea. Maybe coal, and then potentially like wood or cobblestone and, you know, tin maybe over here. We're going to have the potential for quite a lot, in total, I guess, 8 different bees inside of this setup. And then eventually I'll probably go ahead and duplicate this setup on the other side. Or maybe what I might do is I might build another one next to this, and we could potentially keep this as like a breeding zone for bees, and then just set up more of these to add even more different bees to our setup. You don't have to separate the bees like this, but I think it's going to be easier for us to kind of scale our production up and down with the different bees if we have them separated nicely. And so I guess what I'll do whilst we wait and kind of work on getting all of the diorite combs here is I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch more beehives and try and fill this in. We did pick up the beehive that we have here. This is the one that was in this room previously. You'll see that it says tier 2, but then it also says tier 3. That's because we used the upgrade on it. People in the YouTube comments have told me that we probably shouldn't be using the upgrades. They do work, and it is easier. However, our main goal here is going to be to eventually upgrade to apiaries. Apiaries are like an upgraded version of the tier 4 hive. These are even better than the hives, and you can upgrade the apiaries as well to really start going crazy on the resource production. The apiaries are a little ways away because they require nether stars, but to make an apiary, you need 4 tier 4 beehives, and this hive right here, if we were to upgrade it to tier 4, would act like a tier 4 beehive, but you then can't craft it into an apiary. And so, given that we do want to craft an apiary later, I think it's going to be more sensible for us, even though it's more tedious, to kind of manually take our bees away, upgrade the hives the old-fashioned way, replace them back down, and move on from there. Speaking of which, the tier 4 hive is really not too difficult. It's 4 of these honey blocks. Any honey block will work, and 4 lots of comb, so 36 comb in total, gets you the tier 4 beehive, which again, even further increases the number of bees and even further reduces the amount of time they spend in the hive. But now though, we'll probably just go with maybe like tier 2 hives all around here, and we can upgrade those later on for whatever resource we want to get more of. And not too long later, we now have 2 diorite honeycomb blocks and 2 cobblestone honeycomb blocks. And so now finally back over here, we should be able to make the tin bee nectar block. We just need, of course, as always, 1 more bucket of honey, which, as per usual, we can do like this. Nice. And so basically all we're going to do now, I'm going to get rid of the organic water, unfortunately. We could have made another bucket and tried to keep it, but I just don't think it's worth it. We can make another bucket of organic water very easily if we wanted to. Instead, let's go in here. Let's type in tin bee nectar block, start. Cool. We'll place that down. We'll get our tin. That is going to get us the vacuumulator, this guy right here, and we're going to place that, of course, in the center. Whilst I was waiting for all of the honeycombs to come in, we have set up a little bit of a platform down here so that we can work on our hives. So I've made a bunch of tier 2 hives, including the 2 that we already had, and so these are all now down, and all we're going to do is place dispensers underneath each and every one of these, and then we're going to make a redstone timer for each one as well. You could set this up in such a way that you have 1 redstone timer and then run the redstone to all the dispensers, but the timers here are not too expensive. Making 8 of these is going to require, I think, 64 redstone. It's 8 redstone per timer, and then we just need 16 gold, and we currently have, I think, well over a stack of gold honeycomb, and I think we might be close to a stack of redstone comb. Yeah, we got 59 redstone combs, that's 59 redstone, and we do have over a stack of gold comb as well, and so getting all of the redstone and gold required for the timers should be fine. Outside of that, the only other thing we need is actual stone for the recipe, and so let's quickly go ahead and throw a little bit of cobblestone into these furnaces over here, and that should make making the timers fairly straightforward. Over here, do we have the tin bee nectar block? We do indeed. Let's quickly eat some bread for ourselves, and then back over in here, let's do this. I did have to throw down another cobblestone block because we did need more cobblestone honeycomb to make that that work. We were actually kind of all out of that, which was not ideal, but let's harvest this. And at this point, we can probably get rid of the diorite here. I don't think we need any more diorite now. Let me do this. We will keep the diorite for further use, but for the time being, I think we want to focus on trying to get tin. And so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and process all of the redstone and gold combs so that we can get everything we need for the timers. And we'll come back once we have enough tin honeycomb to make enough tin for the vacuumulator. And a little bit of comb processing later, we now have the tin honeycomb, which we can, of course, process. And whilst we were waiting for the tin honeycombs to come through, we did breed another tin bee, so we've now got 2 of those ready to go. And I also processed all of the redstone and all of the gold honeycomb that we had. And so now we have enough tin, enough redstone, enough gold, I think, to make basically all of this happen. So in terms of the vacuumulator, we do need iron, and we are going to need another chest to make a hopper here. Let's do one of these. Let's do one of these, classic. And then do we have everything we need? We need a redstone server, easy enough, and we need 2 glass, which we do also have. Perfect. So that is going to get us the vacuumulator. Fantastic. And then in terms of getting 8 timers, we need 24 redstone torches, which is going to require more sticks than we currently have. Again, completely fine. That recipe apparently does not exist. Sometimes you can do that as a quick way of getting a lot of sticks, but never mind. Let's do 24 sticks and 24 torches. Perfect. Then we need to get 8 of these, which is stone and gold nuggets. That should not be a problem. We do need 16 gold ingots, so we'll turn the rest of these into nuggets, and then let's do this and this. That's going to get us more than 8 of these. We'll just make the 8 we need for now. And then from there, I think we have basically everything. Oh, of course, we need 8 clocks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I have miscalculated the number of clocks required. That's fine. We'll take you. That gets us 4. And then in terms of getting the remaining clocks, we just need another 16 gold. And thankfully, gold is one of those resources that we have got a ton of currently, thanks to the gold bees being around for quite some time. So let's quickly crank this through. And once we have the extra 16 gold, that's going to get us 4 more clocks here. And that should be basically everything for the timers. It looks like we're a little shy on redstone. I think that's because I didn't factor in the redstone required for the vacuumulator here. So we're a tiny bit short on the redstone needed. That's not how that works. I need the redstone comb, not the redstone item. Let's do one of these. And that's going to be all the timers. Right now, I don't know if we necessarily need all 8. We also do need to get more dispensers, actually, now that I think about it, because right now we only have the 1 dispenser that is over there, and it's currently not really doing anything. So we could do with making potentially like 8 more dispensers, which would be 8 more redstone, as well as quite a few more bows as well, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. We do have a fair bit of string, and of course we can make even more string using the leaves that we have here as well, like so. Perfect. And earlier we did figure out that you can use flax as well. We got flax seeds from our seed ore over here, and if you grow those, you get this flax, and you can just craft that flax into string as well. That's also a pretty easy way of getting that. And so in terms of dispensers, we need 8 of these, which means we need 8 bows. We can make 5. Of course, they don't stack, which is horrible. Let's do this. Let's do this. And of course, you got to click these in individually as well because the bows do not stack. That's fine. Let's do this. And then let's go start putting this stuff down. So we're going to place the vacuumulator right in the center. For now, that is going to require a little bit of glass being broken because we can't get through this hive. That's fine. We'll put this down right here in the center. Perfect. And now any item dropped within its radius should get picked up by the vacuumulator and stored in its buffer. Nice. And even if we go as far out as this corner here, that should get collected, and we should see that cobblestone in here. Cool. So let's go ahead and get these dispensers down. So the dispensers are going to go down under the hives. I think that's pointing in the right direction. And then from there, I think what we want to do is we want to go to the side here. It's a little bit awkward, I guess, but I'm going to put the timer down, kind of facing into this guy like that. That's super awkward because you're going to be able to see it from the surface, but I think it's fine. And that's just going to continually apply a redstone signal to the dispenser. We can then go into the timer to kind of configure how often we want it to tick. And so I came back up. In here, we can change this. It's set to 20 by default. There are 20 ticks per second in Minecraft. Chat is right here in that we could potentially actually do this, put a block here, and then have it point up like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work if you just place the timer on the bottom of the dispenser. That doesn't actually work for the dispenser, but this will work. And so if you set this to 100, that will be 5 seconds. If you set it to 1, that's going to go 20 times per second. I don't think we need it to be quite that fast. I think maybe 5. What about 4? 1. The good thing about 1 is that it doesn't make a sound. When you have it set to 2, it plays like 10 times a second. It's a lot. Whereas if you set it to just to 1, I think it is going to go 20 times per second, which is maybe excessive and could cause a bit of server lag if we have too many of them. But it is going to work, and it's going to do a lot of shearing. So I guess at this point in time, we can probably kind of fully test to see if this works. So what we'll do is we'll grab the honey glass from here, and we'll put that honey glass in here and here. We are going to put more glass down over here in the future, but temporarily I'm just going to do this and this. I know it's not the right glass. It's getting replaced. Don't worry about it. And I'm going to go ahead and put some bees in there. Let's move the redstone bees in there. So I'm going to take the redstone bee nectar block. My plan is to get more redstone bee nectar blocks and, of course, more of all of the nectar blocks as we move forward. For now, 1 will do the trick, and we're going to embed it in the floor. What I'll do is I'll put that here. I'm going to put the dirt back here so it doesn't look crazy. And the plan now is that the bees should pollinate on this redstone block and then go back into the beehive, which is perfect. So we just need to go and grab our redstone bees. I think we only have the 2 of them currently, which is perfect. We'll take you, and we'll eat bread, of course, real quick because we are moving incredibly slowly, and it is not fun at all. Perfect. Let's do this, and let's also go grab this guy as well. And so, hopefully, these are going to pollinate. They're going to fill up the hive. Once the hive is full, we do need to make sure that we have a scraper inside the dispenser. Did I put my scraper in here earlier? I did. That one's not doing anything, so let's go put that scraper into this dispenser underneath the redstone beehive, like so. And as soon as this is ready to go, like as soon as the hive is ready to be harvested, we should see all 5 of the honeycombs get spat out, because they should be harvested basically within 5 ticks, which is a quarter of a second, so they should get spat out very quickly. And then very quickly after that, they should get collected by the vacuumulator, and from there, we just need to worry about processing them through a centrifuge. I do think it is going to be worth us looking at upgrading, of course, from this manual centrifuge to something a bit more automatic, because having to crank this manually is still going to be pretty tedious. Thankfully, the regular centrifuge here, this one, isn't too difficult to make. We do need more iron, which should be fine. I'm hoping we have enough iron to make this work without having to re-put down the centrifuge. We need just 2 beeswax and 2 smooth stone, both of which I think we have. Beeswax we of course have, that's easy enough. And then smooth stone we do not have. That is unfortunate. However, we do have a fair bit of regular stone now, and so we can just go ahead and smelt that up again, and it's only 2 that we need in total, and so that shouldn't take too long whatsoever, at which point that should be everything for the centrifuge. The only problem we're going to run into then is actually powering the centrifuge, because it does require redstone flux to run. Now, to do that, we do have a couple of options as to how we can generate power. The version that's added by Resourceful Bees is the honey generator. This takes honey and produces power, but I don't think this is particularly good at producing power, and honey is not that consistent for us currently. The alternative is getting some kind of dynamo from thermal expansion. These are pretty easy to make. The Sterling dynamo here runs on fuel, so coal, wood, sticks, planks, leaves, etc. This is not too bad. It's just iron, redstone, and gold. But what might not be a bad idea is the magmatic dynamo here. This is a little bit more pricey. It requires some invar, but this runs on lava. And I don't think that it would be too difficult for us to kind of set up a self-contained lava generation system that then powers our magmatic dynamos. The Twitch chat does make a good point here in that we should probably keep our manual centrifuge around until we have some sort of power up and running, because otherwise we might end up in a situation where we have to create another manual centrifuge to get more iron or redstone or whatever it is that we need. And so I do think that we can probably make this happen. So we need 2 redstone and 1 gold for the redstone flux coil. That is completely fine. The redstone we have and the gold we can make. Again, this is where it does come in handy to actually still have the centrifuge lying around. We do need more glass bottles. That's fine. Let's do this. And let's do this. Fantastic. And then in terms of getting the invar, that is where our smeltery will actually come in pretty useful. Whoops, this is like this. I'll make 2 of these just in case. We might need 2 dynamos, actually. I don't know how much power we're going to need for this. But in terms of making invar, for the invar, we can make that in the smeltery by combining iron and nickel. And I think we should have both of that, right? Yeah, we do have nickel here, and we also have iron as well. So if we quickly process some of both of those, you need 2 iron for every 1 nickel. And if we're going to make a magmatic dynamo, we need 2 invar, and then we need 4 more invar to make the gear. And again, right now we don't have a multi-servo press, so the smeltery is also going to be how we make our invar as well. So we need 6 invar in total, which means that we need, I believe, 4 iron and 2 nickel. We do keep running out of glass bottles. We've got quite a bit of honey now that we could probably do with processing to get some of our glass bottles back, but temporarily we can do something like this and like this. And as I mentioned just a second ago, we just need to get 4 iron and 2 nickel. Perfect. If we drop all of those into here, boom, and boom, that's going to melt down, and that should produce 6 invar. Let's make sure this is turned off. It is indeed. Much like before, if we want to get a gear, we're going to need a gear cast. I think for that, the easiest way for us to do it is going to be to get a wooden gear and use that to imprint a cast into a sand cast. So let's grab one of our sand casts we made earlier. We can plop that down right about here. We can put the wood gear into it, like so. Take that out, and then if we just pull our new invar over this, we should get an invar gear. On top of that, we're going to want to grab another sandcast. Perfect. And with this, we're going to put just an ingot in, like so, and that's going to allow us to pull out 1 ingot of invar. Unfortunately, we do need to do that twice, so we're going to have to get 2 sandcasts. This is the kind of situation where it would be useful to have a gold cast so that we didn't have to put down a new sandcast every time, but that should be enough invar for us to make our first magmatic dynamo. Do we have everything we need? We do. Nice. So let's go ahead and decommission this manual centrifuge. We'll take all this out. We'll put some of this stuff back away because our inventory is far too full. And then if we grab this guy, we should be able to just plop it back into our crafting grid over here. And that is a centrifuge. Nice. So what we'll do, we'll find a new place for this, of course, but temporarily, if I do this, we should be able to move a bucket of lava from here over into here. That is going to then fill this up with power. And from there, if we throw in some honeycomb, it is now going to automatically transform that honeycomb into whatever resource that honeycomb makes. It's not particularly fast. I think it's actually slower than the manual centrifuge, but it's automated. We can go away, we can do other stuff, and kind of leave it to do its thing. There is a fluid buffer. You'll see there are no bottles in here. You can put bottles in, but you can also click on this button on the right to display fluid outputs, and it will show you the fluid tank, and it's still the same in terms of your chance of getting honey, still 25%, but there's an internal buffer that will hold the honey. You'll see there's 250 millibuckets there, and eventually you might be able to pull the honey out with a bucket, like that, once you have like a full bucket's worth, but you can also, I believe, put the glass bottles in as well, and I really thought that would give us honey, but I guess not. Either way, honey is being made, and I'm hopeful we can pull that out with a bucket. If not, we might have to get some kind of fluid pipes to pull that out. But either way, we do now have an automatic way of turning our combs into products. And we're probably going to want to get a few of these, because you'll see it's not very quick. And if we're going to set up 8 hives with a ton of bees, we're going to want to be able to process them fairly quickly. Is this working? The answer is no, this isn't working. And I wonder if that's because the timer is just too fast. I wonder if 1 tick is just too quick, because this should be working. Let me try and lower that to 5 ticks. That's going to give us the timer sound. And hopefully, yeah, that's actually harvested the comb and dropped it out. So it looks like one tick might be too quick. It is unfortunate. Thankfully, though, we do have the muffler mod here. If you open your inventory, click on muffler, and then if you type in dispenser, you can mute this sound here, block.dispenser.dispense :Minecraft. If you mute this, the sound goes away entirely. If you want some of that sound back, you can kind of drag this up and pick the volume. You'll see here, it's full, and down here, it's barely audible. You can still kind of hear it in the background, but to be honest, I don't think we need it. I think we can mute it entirely, and that is perfect. And so, yeah, this is now working and is going to produce for us an infinite amount of redstone combs, and we essentially just need to do the same thing with all of our different bees. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll move over kind of all of the different nectar blocks that we have. We'll put those into the different kind of quadrants that we have around this accumulator here, and we'll set up the same dispensers and the same scrapers with the same timers to collect all of that stuff. And then next episode, I think what we can do is we can look at transporting all of the wares from the accumulator around into centrifuges. Again, ideally, I think we're going to want to have multiple of these, and then of course we want to pull all of the wares out of the centrifuges round into either our chests or into some kind of storage drawers or into some kind of storage system. Speaking of which, I do believe that simple storage network is something that is going to be fairly easy for us to get into fairly quickly. And so we'll probably look at setting that up in the next episode. That's going to make it a lot easier for us to kind of sift through all of the stuff that we have in all of our chests here, because right now it's getting a little bit hectic because my organization skills are apparently absolutely terrible. But yeah, between streams, I'll go ahead and populate basically all of these with different bees that we already have. And next time we'll come back and we'll look at fully automating the processing of those combs. And then from there, we kind of want to look at getting to the apiary, but the apiary does require a nether star, which is a little ways away. So we'll probably kind of branch out and start working on some of the other mods. We need to do a little bit of Botania. Botania unlocks the ability for us to get into power. Power gives us other ways of making even more power. There's also some astral sorcery and some blood magic that we need to work on sooner rather than later to allow us to progress forward in this pack. But of course, those are all problems for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Sky Bees 2 there.